Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we're going to work on my misfit jade. Yes, it's jade season. I really need to start pruning some of these things. They're quite overgrown. You can see this one is doing well and needs a prune. I call this my misfit jade because I just took a bunch of random cuttings and put them in this forest. And we'll look at it and see how we think it's working and do some adjustments today. Um, but yeah, it needs a prune as it's quite overgrown and actually looks like it might need watering as well, but let's take a look at it. So I'm not going to majorly cut it back, at least I don't think so. I sort of want to, it's really thick and I'm going to kind of form it to this shape, get sort of a triangular shape back, really thin out a lot of this heavy, thick growth all over. So you can see the trunks and see the different trees. I mean, you can basically only see two trees here. So the goal is just to neaten it all up and get it ready for growing later on. Let's take a look at the top of it. You can see it's really healthy, just like some other jades I've recently shown. It grows really well. It's got some red stress growth here, and yeah, you can see it definitely needs some water. The leaves have that kind of thin, inexpensive, leathery feel, which is when you know they definitely need some water. But it's kind of a good practice to let it dry up a bit when you're going to prune it, because if you prune it a lot, you never know. But let's look at these leaves. See how soft and this is bendy and weak, and this is nice and plumper. And then here's one that's quite well watered, which is glossy and super plump. So that shows you, if it looks like this, water it until it looks like one in the bottom here. And usually it takes it a few days to actually plump up. So let's get started. I want to start on the first tree here in the front. Yeah, it's thickened up a bit since we last worked on it. You can check the playlist and see what that looked like. But it's got a lot of thick growth here on the top. And, it doesn't look bad, but some of it's growing the wrong direction. And some of it is just, it's got these large leaves, which, I want to cut back. I want tighter growth. Um, and so I'm going to come in and just start reducing it. And I'll start with you know, almost like a sculptor. The stuff I don't like, I'm just going to cut it off. And then, that'll get us quite a ways down the path to having pruned it. And then I'll kind of fine tune it as we go. So what I really want to do is just get this overall shape under control. It's very, very bushy now, and I want to reduce some of the foliage so I can actually see the structure of the tree and have a clear lines as to how it's growing. I don't want it to be quite chaotic. I want it to look much more controlled and maintained. So I'm just coming in here and initially just reducing back to one or two sets of leaves, and then we'll get to fine tuning it. It's a little tall. Like I said, I want these big leaves gone because when you cut those out, it will grow new leaves, which will be much smaller. So yeah, I'm gonna take this as sort of like a top branch, and we've got these two branches off to the side. This is kind of like a tree that, um, is at least so far a lot of the growth is on this left side in these two main branches, and I want to get more of a top on it on that branch near the top going out to the right side. And I'm just gonna leave keep this really lower branch here. I'm gonna let these. Yeah, I'm just going to prune it back and let it grow and see what I'm going to do with it. But at some point, I may just take this off. I'm going to see, or at least carve it so it looks a little more natural, or see how deep is this cutting planted because I'm not super happy with the way it comes out of the ground there. But for now, we'll just go with it. So I've also got these small sort of bushes. That one's looking pretty good for now. We'll fine tune it later, but let's attack the rest of this massive jungle. So I've got these small ones, and I'm just going to cut these back. They're really designed to look like bushes, so I want them really, really small. And I guess I didn't mention, but this whole planting is about a year old, and these were in some cases cuttings, but mostly just plants that I put in here. Um, and they're really getting established now. Like they're thickening up and just growing quite a lot. So I think next I'd like to tackle this tree. It's quite thick, got a lot of growth, and again, I'm just going to use the same strategy. I want to reduce the top because I definitely don't want it. I mean, right now it's about the same height as the main tree, and I definitely want it to be shorter to give it, much more of a kind of a triangle shape, right? And actually, that'll accentuate so you can actually um, more clearly see the main tree. So I'm coming in here initially and just cutting it back to one or two sets of leaves and removing anything totally that's growing to the inside of the tree. And also, I'll probably take off a lot of the branches that are growing to the inside of the forest because I really want this tree to primarily grow out to the left and fill out. And, actually, in both sides of this forest, I really want to encourage these trees to kind of go out over the edge of the pot on their respective edges and kind of fill out that because I think, with more of a horizontal direction there, and that can be tough with jade. They tend to want to grow straight up, but you can do it if you keep at it. Um, so yeah, that's my goal with this tree. I'm just, this one has really grown quite a lot, and so I'm just cutting things back. This I'll cut way back. Um, and I want to create some space between this tree and its neighbors here. You can see I've got a branch here that's kind of going straight over. I will just take that out. And I think already it looks better. And I'm going to come back. And this isn't bad. I mean, you can see that tree definitely provides like some three-dimensional background towards the back for the when you look at it from this angle from the front tree. But I don't like the trees like intersecting too much, and I think this one's okay. It doesn't enter the space too much of the front tree, um, the primary tree. So I think I was initially thinking I would cut more off the right side, but I think it'll be fine. So I'm just going to thin it out and really try to encourage this to grow some nice, thick, tight growth of very small leaves. And probably what I'll do is, just let this grow. And when I put it outside for the summer, usually it really takes off. And we'll do some more structural pruning right before that. So I do keep this tree growing year round. I have it outside in the summer. I'm gonna move over to this is a troublesome spot here. This you can see this tree is in its own space, but this tree on the right is really needs to be pruned back. I mean, it's quite dark in there, light can't get in, and it's kind of growing kind of severely to the left. And yeah, I want to clear this up. It's sort of confusing. You see, we have some crossing branches, and I really think this tree on the right needs to be given an object lesson in being nice to your neighbors and, and allowing some room for additional growth. So I'm probably going to cut this one back pretty good. And I'm just going to start by just taking the top off. Like I said, these jade really like to grow very strongly upwards, and I really want to encourage this right-hand side of this tree to grow out over the edge of the pot. I think it'll just give it much more of a triangle shape, and I'm going to cut this here to get some shoots coming out up and out, and just improve the overall look and shape of the forest for sure. And in actual fact, I should probably prune the top more often because if you prune the top back, then that will encourage the tree to grow in the lower areas and out in that direction that I just mentioned. It's already looking a lot better, though. I think maybe I won't have to cut it back as much as um, I thought. This tree is really you know, it's a nice looking tree, but I do think, maybe I should just move it more to the right because it sort of occludes the tree behind it in a way that uh, is just not visually pleasing. Um, but we'll see. I'm just going to prune everything up, and I don't think I'm going to move it now. I'll just, cut everything back, and we'll see how it looks. And that may be a project to undertake, later on in the spring. It's just easier because when I'm outside, I'm working outdoors and I can be a lot messier, especially when you're moving trees around. You're just going to get dirt all over the place, and I just don't feel like dealing with that right now. Um, Cut this back, and yeah, this one's already looking a lot better. I mean, I can sort of see the trunk and the structure of the tree. Yeah, I think that's looking a lot better. And I've got this little bush in the middle here. I'm just gonna radically cut that back. I really just want it to look like like I said, a bush. It's just providing some background in green. Um, and who knows, I may actually take that one out. But let's look at this last tree. You can see here, we're definitely getting a triangle shape. Got this main tree. There's a lot of green in this last tree in the back, but it's quite thick. And I definitely want the green there, but it's got to be simplified so that I can sort of see through it and see the structure of the tree. So I'm going to cut back all this growth that has just been coming on strong since this tree's been growing in my cool chiller area. Which is where I keep this in the winter. And I do still fertilize it in the winter, but not much. But it has really good lighting in here. I have LED lights which are quite close to these, and so it just keeps going. And you can see I've got good growth. I sort of lucked out. I have not had a single mealybug anywhere in the chiller area this whole season, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself, but last year, I mean, it was like a full-on, full-court battle out there, and I was quite concerned I was going to lose it. But yeah, this year, not a single any kind of bug out there. It's really really surprised me. And here you can see as I'm hacking away at this back tree, the tree that we just pruned prior to this one is it's really leaning in and invading the space. And I'm going to think about, I mentioned I could reposition it, which I think would help. But it might also be a bit too big. So I'm going to think about maybe hacking that one back a little bit. But for now, I'm just kind of clearing this one out and thinning it down and just simplifying it so that we can get more compact growth and see the wonderful trunk. So I think that's pretty good for phase one of the pruning. I've kind of got some semblance of control. And you can see here where I'm talking about, right in here where it sort of just is very confusing between that tree and the tree behind it. And I don't know, maybe I'm just focusing on it too much. I think what I don't like about it is it also, take off some of this low-hanging fruit here. It's sort of like, it's heading like, it not only interferes with the tree and behind it, but it also seems to I don't know. I don't like how it also works with the main tree. Like it's sort of like if I kind of take that bit off or at least shorten it, the tree will kind of come out. It'll go more to the right and sort of be more in alignment with the main tree. Which I guess the shape will change as I fill out the top here. But anyway, I'll just keep pruning and taking simplifying stuff. So I really like to go down to the bare minimum and have kind of a skeleton view that then can fill in of the basic bone structure of the forest. But yeah, I'm going to think about the tree on the right and maybe we'll make some adjustments to it. But I'm not. It just looks a little confusing in there. But it's better than it was for sure. Just reducing this down, I can now clearly see all the trees, and I've got some. It's finally getting some ramification. I mean, I kind of reduce it back to 2 sets of leaves, and over time you do that, so I'm only gaining a couple sets a year. But over time, you just get a lot more detail and ramification. I think that helped a bit there because now I can sort of see more of that. See, this is this area I'm talking about right here. Yeah, I guess that's better. We'll see. I don't. I mean, if I could take that completely off, that also might work. But I sort of like the structure of this tree, at least the top part of it, as it is. So I don't know. We'll keep going and think about that. But it's also still a bit thick here. I can definitely take a bit more off and encourage it to have a nice, thick, small leaf top. I also like to take off leaves that are heading towards the inside of the tree. I think you can just see it, especially with um, Crassula Ovata. The leaves are big and really cover up a lot, so you can really fairly easily expose more of the beautiful trunk by just kind of cutting a few leaves here and there. Yeah, I don't know how much more I want to do in this. I think I'm really at the point where um, maybe I'll just let it grow. I'm just having a look at it here. I'm still thinking about that right section. I think kind of shaving off that one left branch that was kind of invading its neighbor was a good idea. But maybe I can take off a bit more and thin this out and have it look even a bit better. Yeah, there's plenty of leaves I can take off of here. And for aftercare on this, I watered this not that long ago, but as I showed in the beginning, when the leaves are still quite wrinkly, and you can see a lot of these are. So I will give it water, but I feel like this probably has a lot of roots, and I've kind of looked at the bottom, and so you don't want those roots to be super wet. So you want to make sure that the leaves can suck up the water that you're putting on the plant. So I'll let it dry to get all these cuts dried out first, so I don't cause some kind of rot by getting those wet. So I'll let it dry for 3 or 4 days. But then I'm going to start, I'll spray it, which I think actually helps jades a lot to recover and grow. I mean, they're kind of like rainforest plants. So I think that's super helpful. And then I will start giving it small amounts of water. I'll just use a squeeze bottle to water each one. And then when I see it responding to that, and then when some good growth starts kicking in, well, then I'll start watering it super heavily, which is what I normally do. But I think we're going to kind of wrap this up for now. As I said, I really want to get more growth off to the right and left sides of this. And, I can probably, these small trees that I'm treating as bushes, I can also let them kind of go out that way and they'll sort of fill in that space. But hopefully we'll get some more branching out that way. And, this large, on the main tree, this large limb that kind of comes up from the ground and goes to the left. I'm not sure. Maybe what I should just do is move the outer trees a bit further out from their current position. And so I'm going to think about doing that because I really like the forest, but I feel like it's a little too, it isn't wide enough. It really isn't wide enough, and I kind of want to widen it out. So the easiest way to do that is just widen it out. I think it would actually help to create a bit more space between these trees as well. And I find this, it's pretty common in a forest, like once they get established and you can see more of how they're going to grow and fill in. Like you do typically have to do some adjustments. But let's take our victory lap. And, I think we've done a pretty good job. I think this is one main branch in the middle here. Could be cut back. That kind of extends out towards the back, but I think I'm going to let it go for now. Who knows? I may come back. I think, this is probably a good thought for the day. One of the things I like to do is, we've done a fair amount of work here, cut a lot off. And I've been throwing it in my bin, so I can't show you the carnage cam, as Blue Jay Bonsai likes to say. But, sometimes it's better to just, do a lot like we've done, and then take a day off, and come back to it. And especially with some of these things that I'm kind of less sure about, like some of these main branches I may want to reduce. And the tough decision of deciding, well, do I want to do that or just reposition the tree in the spring? Just give yourself some time to think about it. But let's take a victory lap. I think this looks pretty good. Like I said, I'll come back and look at it tomorrow, and maybe we'll make a few more tweaks. I think I'm going to take that off. But yeah, it's a huge improvement from where we were, and I really wanted to get the watering requirements down because this thing was drinking a lot of water, and also get some new smaller growth started, and we have completely accomplished that. I think I will also show, I don't know, an aerial view of this. I think when you're working on a forest, you definitely want to, look at it from the top because, you want to pretend you're the sun and you can see down into the tree, because any branches or thick growth is going to kill anything below it because it won't get enough sunlight. So it always helps to take this look when you're pruning. And we'll do kind of a bird's eye view or a walker's view of the forest. I think another thing I want to do is on the ground. I kind of want to create some more valleys and pockets and sort of mounds around the tree between this. I don't like the current look of how it's all sort of like one mound in the surface of the soil. I want to create some little valleys in there. Well, I thought I was done, but like I said, it pays to come back and have another look. And so this is a day later, and this has really bothered me. You see how I really want this forest, like this section right here, I think really sort of breaks the flow of the forest on the side from front to back. So I'm just going to take it off. I was thinking about this as we were pruning earlier. Yeah, that's much better. And it sort of gives the ability of the tree behind it to shine and just kind of clears up the clutter a bit there. And I think I'll take this off even closer. I just don't want this big stump there. If I get another branch kind of coming off of here to the right, to the outside of the forest, that'd be great. But yeah, I think that's a nice little cutting. If I were in that game, I'm remaining ruthless this year, so no more cuttings. That's a big improvement. I mean, I can really see now as I look back, it really cleared up the space and created, the tree just looks better. I still am not crazy about this area, but I'm just going to let that grow. But that was a welcome improvement for sure. I think it just looks a lot better all around. I think you'll agree. So a case of the thought for the day in action. This will just be great. So finally a wrap on this tree. Like I said, pays to come back a day later, and I want to leave you with another little bonus. And that's it for the day. I want to finish off with one thing. These are some little plants. These all started, they had no leaves at all in the fall when I put them in here. And look how adorable these things are. Nice, tight growth. I have no idea what some variety these are. But I wanted to share that with you before we go. And I want to thank you for spending time with me. And I'll see you all again very soon.